I'm Alex Christenson, and joining me and somehow drug his chair all the way to the United Kingdom. Andy, how are you? How are things? How's the Open going?
It's been good. I stayed up late just so I wouldn't wake up early. Sometimes you wake up. I'm an old man. I'm washed. Sometimes maybe a dog wakes up, or I'll wake up and it'll be like 3. If I would have woke up at like 3 in the morning, I would have just gone to like the family room and watched golf. So I stayed up late on purpose so I could wake up late. I did. Pleasantly surprised. A couple guys, Spieth and Usti playing well. There's me. That's actually at the Masters. That hat was so hot in Augusta. Can't imagine wearing that kind of hat down
Not
there.
great
Although
for the humidity.
it looks it must have been a little cool that morning because Lewis has his jacket on. But yes, this is our clubhouse leader, and the afternoon wave is a little bit windy. So maybe that sticks, maybe it doesn't. Either way, there's still a lot of golf left. And it's been good so far. A few surprises. Jason Day is like $1 trillion over par. I played a couple other little ticklers from some other people. I got a low amateur I'm kind of tracking right now. I think it's a German kid. But otherwise, It's been fun. It's good. Daily matchups, I'll figure that out when we get there. And once we get around to finishing this round up, I'll look at some round 2 stuff, probably put a blog out this afternoon. NBA was fun last night. We have a series.
Yeah, we do. I mean, it was a really great ending there. I mean, Giannis, one of the amazing parts about that block is at the end is that we all kind of forgot the one. I think it was from game 3 or maybe game 2 where he basically did the LeBron catch-up block, which was pretty astounding. But I mean, blocking 8 in there for that dunk. I mean, that's a highlight of like all highlight kind of plays. It's just amazing. I mean, that puts Giannis. It continues what we've seen in this series from him, and it really in these playoffs, continuing to raise his game, coming back from an injury, being able to manage things, being able to deal with every stadium, counting incorrectly, folks. I've got the timer out. You people, you need to slow down. We need to get a Mississippi in there or something. You guys are at like 12 by the time he gets to 9, but dealing with all that adversity, raising his game, he's really starting to show signs and pushing into maybe the conversation of a really great NBA player. If they can find a way to win this series, you put all that together. Now we've got the big highlight with the block. He continues to put up outrageous numbers in every game. So it's really fun to watch Giannis. And at the same time, when there's a positive, Andy, there's a negative. We're starting to hear whispers and creeping ins of doubt about Chris Paul again. He finally got to the finals. He finally made it this far, but now we're in another big pressure situation. He hasn't really played as great as I guess people would hope he would. So, we head back to Phoenix. We got a 3-game series here at this point. I'll be pretty surprised if this doesn't go to 7. So we head back to Phoenix, then to Milwaukee, then back to Phoenix here to finish it up. Dan's got the MVP Finals odds up here. This is pretty interesting. You look at Giannis plus 104. That's pretty telling to me, Andy, that Giannis is actually shorter to be the Finals MVP than the Bucks are to win the series. Right? Isn't that pretty interesting?
Probably a very small chance of the Bucks lose in 7 in a very close game, and they'd still want to give it to him. If CP3, if that didn't exist, that narrative didn't exist, I think it'd probably be even greater chance of that. The NBA has given an MVP to a losing team, haven't they? I'm sure.
Jerry West.
It was way back. Yeah, Jerry West was not recent, but man, if there ever was a case for it, he is a god right now, a Greek god. And, if they lose this in 7, he was still the best player in the series. So I wouldn't hate it. I don't hate that. Common sense can prevail once in a while. You don't have to give it to somebody on the winning team, but definitely, it is interesting seeing what the odds are there. If you were betting the Suns, if you thought the Suns get it done in 7, would you rather take the Suns, or would you rather take a little bit of the Suns and maybe 3/4 Suns and like quarter Chris Paul MVP? Maybe tickle it a little bit that way as well.
Dan, if you can switch back to those MVP odds for a second, it's hard to, figure out really for the Suns here. You've got Chris Paul plus 175. You've got Devin Booker plus 240. That means we're going to get a really nice number on DeAndre Ayton. Maybe honestly, I would sprinkle a little bit on Ayton, maybe a little bit on Paul. I don't know. It's hard to figure out. I don't know if anyone on that team really has stood out in a big way. I think one of the, the positives of the pressure being on Paul. If you bet in now, if he does have a good game in game 5, then everything's going to be a couple days. If he's finally responded to the pressure, blah, 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 and then these things will kind of go out of whack, and you can come back and take some buck series and do some things like that. So I think you might be onto something there. You know, taking Paul here at plus 175 is probably a little bit better than taking the Suns there at minus 130. You're trying to do something game to game.
Speaking of free throws, you brought up Giannis and getting counted. I am well, you know what? I'm going to give the first one. I'm going to blame Drew. This one didn't, you know, the other one we had with Trae Young and Giannis, that didn't have an Andy head symbol on it. This one did. And you know what? I got to give you credit too. I mean, we talked it out before the show. We talked it out on the show. We said, hopefully it's not a case where he shoots like 3 or 4 free throws and we have a small sample size and we get effed, but did shoot 9 and he missed one of them. So the Devin Booker make every free throw no was a winner. If you got on that, congrats. I had to put it out there. The fact that we were able to come up with it. It's not like you missed a bunch. You only missed the one, but one was all it took. All we needed. It's raining again, isn't it?
It's raining.
It's the rainy season in Switzerland. I've been saying Lausanne is in France for like 3 days now for some reason.
Hey, I thought Budapest was in Turkey, so it's been tough for us. I went back and looked. I think it was partly because that Euro thing that people went to like Bucharest instead of Budapest or something. It's all been very tough for me. I don't know. My brain is in kind of a scrambler at this point with all the stuff that's going on. But yeah, nothing in Lausanne or Lausanne, not really sure. But no tennis in Switzerland. It continues to rain. Everything's kind of stopped up there. I believe our girl Mandy Manella's down a set, but also put out Rakhimova late yesterday. She's up a set, and we got a couple other things in the cooker there. Tennis, the other tournament we have is in Prague. Again, lines are kind of slow coming out for there. They were able to get all their play in, but we do have one play in the aforementioned Budapest, which of course is located in Hungary, people, clearly dead in the center of Europe. We're going to take a total here. Over 21 games, Yulia Putintseva is going to play Katerina Kozlova. I have this total at, honestly, a juicy 21.5. This might be a rare opportunity, you know, to hang a 22 that makes sense in a 3-set, you know, non-Grand Slam clay tournament here. Putintseva is someone that plays very long matches. Same thing with Kozlova here. The two of them have really good return ability. I think there's a chance we see a lot of breaks of service. If there is a chance this match gets to like 5-5 or something like that, go in and live bet either woman to win the match 7-5. Because it's just going to be a great bet. As the longer this goes, there's going to be a ton of ability here for women to come back and win these sets. And it sets us up for a nice over here again. I think we're going to see a 7-5, maybe a 7-6. So 7-5, 6-4, 7-6, 6-3. And we're doing pretty good, Andy. So we're going to just over 21 here again. Very few lines out for tomorrow, given that everything's kind of in flux and the way they set these tournaments up. It's not like a slam where it's nice to kind of go round by day. Yeah. You're in the quarterfinals in some of these tournaments. You're in the third round and others. It's a mess. But just this one for now.
Like when the camera goes wonky and I like try to wipe it off. Actually, that worked. My God. That's not how that worked. And somebody in the chat just said there's some 20.5s out there too. As always, as a rule, do shop around, especially if you're in a legal state with a whole bunch of different places to go look. So take a look for that. And there's not a lot of sports today, guys. There's one MLB game. There's no basketball. There's nothing. Like this is, if anybody wonders why bookmakers down, why they decided, like because there's no major sports really. It's a good day to take it down. This is a good day for maintenance. So it's a little short on the content and picks. Like I said, I'll have some round 2 picks for the Open later on tonight. I'll probably post those in a blog or put out a tweet. But we had a fun one yesterday. I didn't watch a minute of this because we did the deep dive. But if you followed along to the markets, and this is why people should always pay attention to, you know, informational stuff. The WNBA All Star Game total opened around 250. Here's a cute little chart showing where it did, and quickly dropped 60 points. Not quickly, but over the course of a few hours. It was quick enough. It was over the course of a couple
hours, I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like an hour and a half, man.
I was trying to think in our little NBA chat where we were following it and peppering it ourselves. It went from, I was trying to think, like the 230s down to like just to 200 in like an hour.
Yeah,
That was,
it was something. I think it bottomed out around 190. Some people saw it just a shade under 190, started to get tickled back up, never even got close to that. I think we finished in the 170s. So 250 was a bit off. Yeah, no matter what you bet on the under, I believe Circa might have opened it, but that's the thing. Like somebody like that opens it, everybody copies it because they don't want to do the work on a one-off game like this, and all of a sudden the whole market's dicked like this. So do pay attention. If you see something like this, start asking questions.
It was a Circa opener. I think Dave Purdom wrote a little bit of article about it, and it was just a mistake. It wasn't anything weird. It wasn't anybody doing anything goofy. It was one of those rare things where you see exactly what you talked about. This is why it's so dangerous just to copy a number when there really is only one group of people looking into it. And again, who knows where the guys at Circa got it? Maybe they're just pulling a number from last year. Who knows? But when there are more people making a number, you have less problems with this. When it is just here's one number and everybody hang it and take action, they get beat up like they did yesterday. So remember, if there's any of you dressmakers, as one person would like to call them and say, are out there listening, make sure you're out there at least checking. You got to do your own thing, folks.
Mr. Gadoon might say that. Yeah, like I said, not much going on. I did have a tweet that went out yesterday, and it led me to a bunch of retweet quote tweets and replies. It kind of had me think, like, people proved my point.
Andy, social media venting people.
Yeah, well, I just like this was just kind of a joke tweet. I'm like, this will get some likes and maybe some replies. But enough people replied to this with basically you're an idiot, Andy, and these are two different markets, apples and oranges. And yeah, markets are different. But I said, and I'll read the tweet in case you're a podcast listener. If you bet Rom at 9-1 and he wins, it's all nice hit on your favorite chalk donkey. Chalk donkey being pretty funny. I like that one. But if you hit a 9-1 on some tight end being the first touchdown scorer on Monday Night Football, you're a damn hero. And the point I was trying to make was about the favorite long shot bias. And it is bothering me right now that my face is melting on camera. I don't know why.
I think it's the camera's getting
wonky.
I think your beard is too close. I think the beard is too close to the color of the background or something.
Maybe my beard. Yeah, maybe it doesn't
like I don't like the Nadu angle. Let's not do that.
No, yeah, no.
Keep your shirt on.
Nadu right in the face. But no, the point I was trying to make was 9-1 is 9-1. The favorite long shot bias really plays in here because, you just bet the favorite. Well, the favorite, and I don't want to do any math today. I don't want to bore you with some math. But if you take 9-1 and you put it into decimal odds, which I know everybody hates decimal odds, but they're a lot easier to use with the math. I do love the decimal odds. The decimal odds will tell you that a 9-1 is implied to win 10% of the time. It doesn't matter if it's two tennis players and one of them is 9-1 and the other one's a massive favorite. They're saying 10% of the time that 9-1 wins. If a golfer is 9-1 and there's 150 other golfers, he's going to win that tournament 10 times, 10% of the time. Like that's the implied odds as informed by the market. It's not perfect, but if you were able to run something a lot, the closing lines would be pretty close. Minus 200 implies you win 66% of the time. If you go run a query on baseball games where a favorite closed minus 200, you're going to find you take the overall win record of those teams, it's really damn close to 66% of the time. The market is pretty well informed. I know I won't get into the weeds on pulling out the VIG and comparing different markets and over rounds and stuff like that. But the fact is, like, a 9-1 is a 9-1. If you had 1,000-sided dice and it had 100 sides that were your guy, or if you had a 10-sided die that had one, like, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter how many other people are in the pool. 10% is 10%. So it's kind of it's even me, like the long shot bias does get in your head. Like, oh yeah, it's easy because he's the favorite. He's still 9-1, buddy.
Yeah, it's a lot of the stuff that you and Drew cover in sort of your evergreen episodes and series of the deep dive. This is a bias. I guess it's probably long shot bias. I don't know if it's some other kind of bias or heuristic kind of thing going on, but there is some sort of mental incongruity, some sort of problem with the human brain where we look at the 9-1 and just because it's at the top of the list, we think it's different than a 9-1 everywhere else. Yes, it's different markets, just like you said, but 9-1 is 9-1 is 9-1. It does not matter. And to think about it that way, is totally nonsense. Although I will say, people that hit 9-1 touchdown first scores are heroes.
Yeah, no, I did feel kind of bad, like picking on you with that. I wasn't picking on the first touchdown scores, but no, it's just
it's exactly what you said though, right? It's a market where 9-1's at the top here, and you look at this other one, and 9-1's in the middle, down towards the bottom, and you feel cooler and smarter because you pick the 9-1 that's at the bottom, the less likely 9-1. That's what it is. As soon as you feel that way, you're wrong because it's 9-1.
Yeah, it's like saying there's a less likely coin flip. You know, a coin, and we'll close with this. A coin flip is the best example. If two sides are -110, and I said I wouldn't do the math, but if you pulled out the VIG, -110 is a 50-50 if they're both, -110. So a coin flip would be 50-50. Now, one side of the coin is going to be just as likely as the other side of the coin. It's going to happen half the time. Now, get some other market where there's 6 or 7 other contestants, but there's still one thing that's going to happen 50% of the time. It's still the same. It's a 50% odds. Just because there's 7 other people in the market, it's going to happen 50% of the time, just like a heads would in a 50-50 coin flip. So yeah, you cannot fight against the implied odds. It wasn't the background. I switched to the beach and my beard is still weird. It's like that Just for Men commercial when they're Emmett Smith and he's got the gray beard and he says, "Your beard is weird." That's what's cracking right now. Either way,
it's interesting. It's like you have whiteout all over your.
We'll get back to a bunch of sports tomorrow. We have Adam Burke coming in tomorrow, doing Baseball Friday. Very excited about that as baseball gets into the second half of the MLB season. Kind of kicks off tonight, but for the most part, it kicks off tomorrow. We'll get into that. Go to @BETSPERTS for all the details on this. But if you sign up for the WinBet, obviously you can get a YETI tumbler, $500 risk-free bet. Sign up in any of the states. If you don't live in one of those states, find a buddy in a different state, convince them to give you their tumbler. I'm going to get a tumbler at the 3M Open in a couple weeks. So that's pretty awesome too. I'm going to be very tumbler rich pretty soon. And yeah, Patrick says he has a great question for Adam tomorrow. I will look for that in the chat. I'll make sure it gets.
Can we build you like one of those beer dispensing helmets, as Vern Lundquist would like to say, but we can put the Yetis in there and you go YETI. Or I guess around the side, not the middle.
Look at this. Now you can't see it. Although my hair is really rough today. So, all right.
You look like a baseball coach.
Oh my God. Now it got worse. All right. See you guys tomorrow.